Rohan Patel, comic book movie. Hey Glenn, how are you?
Hey, Rohan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. The movie's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
I was at CinemaCon, so I saw it with the crowd. So I think you were there too. So it was that was an
Wasn't that
experience.
awesome?
Yeah, yeah. Was that your first time seeing it with the crowd?
That was the first time we actually got to see it with all the young guns in the movie at Paramount in Los Angeles. But that was my first time getting to see it with a crowd, and they still haven't experienced that. And I just told them, I was like, it's just a whole other level when you see people high fiving as they're leaving the theater and crying and fist pumping. I mean, it's just, I mean, people. The reaction was, we knew we made something special, but I don't think anybody expected that.
Yeah, no, it was like a Marvel movie, man. It was best experience I've had in like the last 3 years.
Oh, awesome.
Uh, but so you basically been sitting on this like it's basically like buried treasure. You've been sitting on this movie that you know is awesome, but you can't tell anyone about it for the entire like since like I think it was supposed to come out in 2020, so you can't talk about it for like 2, 3 years. So what was that kind of like? And were you just able to like keep it together between like the group chat between your like the cast members?
Well, that is a thing that at least I had a great squadron that we all shared in that similar pain. But holding on to this movie for 2 years, it's like keeping the greatest secret of all time. When you know you made something that's going to thrill audiences, there's this balance. There's this feeling of, hey, like I can't wait to show the world this movie, but at the same time, you only want to show the world that movie when they're ready to see it, when they can see it the way it's meant to be seen in the theaters, as you've seen already, IMAX, Dolby. You want the full works when you see this movie. You want to watch it with strangers. You want to be able to fully, plug in and have that full experience. This one is not meant to be seen at home. So
Hmm.
I'm really, really glad we waited. I'm glad the world gets to see it the way it was intended. But yeah, it's been a wild couple of years trying to hold on to this one.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can't wait for people to see it. And then so like I remember when you were auditioning initially, you were up for Rooster, and then ultimately you weren't cast, and you were joking on Twitter. But then I think a week or two later, you were cast as Hangman, and so like you obviously like impressed Tom Cruise. So like, what was that like as a young actor then to like have a fan in Tom Cruise and like being cast in the movie for the first time,
I mean,
or
there's
like what was the process? Yeah.
yeah. Again, having a fan in Tom Cruise is the greatest experience. If you haven't experienced it, I recommend it. It's really fun. It's I'm really, really thankful with the way everything turned out. I don't think anybody can truly understand what was going on in my head at the time when you miss out on a movie that made you want to be an actor. You feel like it could work out, and when it doesn't, um, I was really bummed. I was really sad, and trying to the role of Hangman wasn't the same on the page, and Tom had to we talked it out, and how he develops characters, and how his tactic for building his career is not just choosing good roles, but choosing good movies, making great movies, finding roles in those movies and making them great roles that really, enhance those sharp attributes that you have as a person and an actor, and make it really come to life. And he told me that's what was going to happen. I talked to Joe, I talked to Chris McQuarrie, talked to Jerry Bruckheimer about it. And these guys all said, hey, you got the dream team here. We promise we'll make this thing great. And I'm really, really grateful I listened to them, because um, I can't imagine seeing what I saw at CinemaCon, seeing it on the big screen, and not being a part of it, having missed out on it. I mean, this is a movie that I think is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. I think it's the reason you go to the movies. It's the reason you make movies. And so I'm really, really glad Tom Cruise is so compelling and convinced me to be a part of it.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. That's so cool, man. You're living the dream right now.
I
And then
know.
so like so the movie like you guys wrapped like 3 years ago and you've obviously like sought counsel from him and like and you've already been picking like Everybody Wants Some, Set It Up, Hidden Figures. These were all like really great movies that you were a part of. And I don't want to come off too much with the fanboy, but I
No,
do
dude,
enjoy
I
your work.
appreciate that. Look, I mean, I like, seriously though, thank you for
Yeah.
saying that, because it's like, as an actor, one of the things that's guided people like Tom, you look back at his early career. I mean, he's just making great movie after great movie after great movie. And It's not easy to do that. There's so much noise and there's so much stuff coming at you that I've tried to be really precise and patient about what I've done. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, of course, man. And so like acting and flying are very different like skill sets that you guys have. So like what was the sort of training regime that got you prepared to, I know Tom like designed something for you guys, but what was it like that got you prepared to like also act and deal with like flying, and because you have to like be the most badass one of them all.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, to play Hangman, that's the great gift that Tom gave us is from the moment I step in any plane, I'm flying that plane like Hangman. You have to go, how can I be authentic? How can I maneuver this airplane convincingly, doing every maneuver up here that is indicative of what that pilot would be like in the Navy. And so I figured out, Hangman is as cool as a cucumber, having a blast on the ground, but up in the air, he's gripping and ripping and really going to be the most aggressive of them all. And so that was interesting to do up in the extra 300, especially where we're getting our G tolerance up. I really had to learn how to throttle up and throw that plane around where I felt comfortable doing that up in the 18. So yeah, I think the gift that Tom gave us is these rehearsals through this flight program. Those rehearsals, I got to run full scenes up in the air as Hangman. So by the time I did it in the 18, it definitely wasn't a walk in the park. I mean, there's nothing a walk in the park about the 18, but I definitely wouldn't have been able to do that without the cruise flight school.
Awesome. And so, and like the cast chemistry also like comes through really strong, just because you guys can tell like you guys have been through it together. And then so like I want to talk about your dynamic with Miles Teller and Roosters, like, because you guys do get to recreate that iconic Maverick Iceman photo near the end.
Yeah.
But like, so like, what did you guys talk about, or did you want to just like make it in the moment, or like what was that dynamic like forming that with him?
It's so interesting. I mean, I know Miles is a huge fan of the first one as well. And it's really hard to be a fan of the first one and also not retread on the prototypes or characters that have appeared before us and try to make it our own, to honor the first movie without retreading or being a derivative of the first movie. So it was great to have kind of a wingman in Miles to navigate that together.
Awesome. And so like I think Miles about our same age too, but like Top Gun was out before we were born, but like it meant so much to our parents' generation. It's like that was the first movie that my folks went on like that was their first date. So I was like, yeah. And so like it means a lot to them. And they're like, obviously we know like Tom Cruise is cool, Top Gun is cool. So like what did that mean to you, like joining this legacy of Top Gun and the Tom Cruise legacy, and like just as a young actor and as a fan, as a just a person, like what was that like legacy like, and what did you want to like accomplish with the film ultimately?
Yeah, even before I got cast in this movie, I was turning roles down, saying, sorry, I can't shoot anything in the fall. They're like, oh, you shooting something? I'm like, no, I'm going to be shooting Top Gun. I felt that confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ego was already strong in Hangman even before I joined the movie, in terms of this is a movie I feel like I know better than anyone. And except Tom and, Jerry and Joe and those guys. But it's a movie I've wanted to occupy this world my whole life. So yeah, to come into this movie. Wait, sorry, what was your question again?
Oh, no, I just wanted to like, how did you want to like join the legacy? Like, how did you want to leave your mark essentially?
Yeah. I think joining this movie, there were iterations of this movie that were in development at times without Tom Cruise, without, they were flirting with the idea of like, it's one of the biggest titles of all time. But, Tom really is one of those special actors that can take what is a great world, a great idea, and find every bit of magic inside of it. He knows why people love Top Gun. He knows the emotional experience of what it is to fly in a jet. He is real life Maverick. Like, while we were shooting this movie, I was always shocked by moments where I'm sitting with Tom. It's like, after set, we're talking, telling stories, and then he'd just take off on his motorcycle into the night, and you're just like, coolest dude ever. Or like, you rap and you go, hey, you know what? Hey man, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. And then he'll literally jump in his P-51, take off into the sunset, and you're just like, this guy is Maverick, and a guy who's pushed the limit his entire career, his entire life, and defied expectations and put his body on the line to entertain audiences. So it's really cool to work with your hero, but to work with your hero in a role that made him iconic was really surreal.
Awesome. Thank you so much for Glenn. And I'm really happy that you got this movie and that it turned out so fucking awesome. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Nice to meet you.